Word, Module A or Module 1, working with Word, whether you're working with a blank new document, opening one from an existing file, or working with a template. If you wanted a completely new Word document, you would choose File, New, Blank Document. Or holding Control and press the letter N. That's a completely new document. Or you could go to File, Open, and go to assignments that you've worked on recently, or browse if you've saved it somewhere on your computer or your OneDrive. If you wanted a document to always be at the top because you're going to be using it often, you would pin it so that it's always at the top. And then to unpin it, just check it again to unpin it. Or you could go to New, and you have different categories. You could look at resumes and cover letters. These are all templates. That doesn't mean the information that's in there is permanent. You change it with your new information. Or you could look at the holidays if you wanted to do cards or invitations or holiday flyers. And again, these are just samples to start with, and you can change any of the information or pictures you'd like. And you can also type in any category. Maybe I wanted to look at address labels. And again, you could decide which one that you'd like. And you can always go back and preview. They give you a little scenario of when you would use this. And then you can close out. So I'm going to go back to our original document. So this is an assignment that you'll be doing in complete in the assignment section of Module A. But I just wanted to go over a couple of things with you in this when you're working on this assignment. You'll be working out of the Home tab on the ribbon and focusing on the font group mainly, and a little bit with the paragraph group and probably the editing group. The font group has to do with anything that you would change in the font appearance, whether it's the size, the color, the style, any special effects, would all be from the font group. This is called a Dialog Box Launcher, and what this does, we can also do Control D. Whenever a dialog box appears on your screen, you can hover to the top and move it on the title bar to anywhere you want. So what this does is it gives more of a description of what you could do with the font type, the style, the size, the font color, any underline you want to add, because there's different styles of underline. Do you want to change the color of the underline? There's also special effects. And whatever you select from here, you'll get a live preview of what's happening to your text. We'll get into special text effects as well. For right now, the very first word is misspelled, but it's in all uppercase, so it's not saying it's misspelled. If I had it misspelled here the same way, you get the red underline. That's because the default is not to correct words that are in all capitals. So if you wanted to, you could click File, Options, and under Proofing, the default is not to check, because for example, STCC, that is not a word and you wouldn't want it to be red underline. So chances are most uppercase letters are acronyms and you don't need them to be spell checked. But in this case, I'm going to uncheck it so that it'll check for misspelling words. And there we can fix that. That's your option to adjust. The other thing, if you, so what happens is you should always save and save frequently, just in case you're to lose power or something were to happen on a document that you've spent a good amount of time on. You should save often and frequently. Another thing you can do is in the File, Options, because what happens is Word has an auto recovery, so it's set for every 10 minutes. So let me just, So what happens if you're typing, a great closing paragraph and you lose power? Whatever was not saved within the 10 minutes, anything beyond that would be lost. Anything that you typed a half hour ago, it would be saved in what's called auto recovery. And when the computer turns back on and you open up Word, it'll, on the left-hand side, have the document in auto recovery, and you can click it to get it back. But it doesn't save the last 10 minutes of typed text. But you can change that time frame so that it saves more frequently, so that if you were to lose power, you only lose a minute of typed text. So to do that, click File, Options, and in the category on the left-hand side, choose Save. The default auto recovery save time is every 10 minutes. I have mine set for 1 minute, so it saves all the time. In case I were to lose power, I only lose 1 minute of typed text. So that's a good thing to do on just to make sure that if anything were to happen, you have it saved at the most recent amount of information. Another thing I wanted to share in more detail is the clipboard window. So if I open up the dialog box window pane for clipboard, I'm going to clear everything that I have in there. It holds 24 items. Whenever you are selecting text to either copy or delete, especially delete, I would not use the keyboard button for delete. I would use the cut here or Control X, because the words will always be in your clipboard, so that in case what was that word that was here? You could always go to your clipboard. Oh yeah, font, I want that. And then for small caps, preview. So you always have it in here. And it could be, several lines of text that you cut, and then it goes in here and you just paste it right back. So it's a good reference to have things that you delete and then, wait a minute, maybe I better have it. And if you can't remember what it was, if you used your cut, the scissors, or Control X, it'll be in your clipboard and you can always have it to refer to. You can, if you're running out of room, you could delete certain ones, because what happens, it only holds 24. So if you cut 25 items, the very first one is the one that disappears. So this is a great feature. If I close out of here and I open it back up, I didn't delete anything, I just closed the window pane. So I would definitely refer to using cut, Control X, or delete, or the scissors button, and not use delete on the keyboard. The other great feature is always copy and paste. So if I copy this and then click down below and paste it, I keep it in both places. If I were to cut it here and then paste it here, it's out of the first place. So copy and cut are features that you'll use a lot. There's another way to do it. So let's say I wanted to just take this and move it down here. I would just select it and then just drag it down. And it's going to go in front of, see the heavy marker in front of the F, and let go. So I just moved it there. What happens if I wanted to keep it here and put it above font? Instead of just holding it and dragging, I would hold the Control key button and then drag. And you'll notice underneath the arrow is a box with a plus sign in, meaning you're getting a copy of it. So that's drag and drop, but keeping it in two places. So that's a great feature. The drag and drop is an amazing feature where you can just drag it and drop it wherever you want. So another important feature is if I were to select a list of items that I wanted to have in bullet format, I would click this right here. The default bullet is a solid circle. If I didn't want that particular one, I can click the down arrow and you get a few more options. If you've used the define new bullet recently, it'll show in your bullet library. If you wanted something totally different, you could go to define new bullet. You could go to picture, and in the Bing search, you can type in anything, any category you want, and select whatever you'd like for your picture, and it gets a little preview, and then you get your picture. Now it's really, really small, so if you wanted to make it larger, select one of the bullets, and then you can just increase the size of it. If you didn't want that anymore, you could go right back to your define new bullet and either choose none or pick something else. And again, you'd have to change the size of the bullet to go back to its original size, or larger if you want. You can even change the color of the bullet, purple, make it a little bigger. And it's not making the font purple, just the bullet. You could choose none if you decide you don't want that at all. You could put numbers instead, or you can choose letters. You have control of that. And if you didn't want that, you could choose none. We'll work with margins. So if I go into Layout and choose Margins, it's set for normal. All new documents are top, bottom, left, right of 1 inch. There's a couple other choices, narrow, so there's not much white space on the edge, or moderate, which is in between narrow and normal. There's wide, so you have a lot of space on each side. Or you could go to Customize and pick exactly what you want for a left and a right and a top or bottom, whatever you'd like, and OK. Or go back to normal. The other thing you can select is orientation. The default setting is portrait, 8.5 by 11, or you can change it to landscape. So if we were to view this as landscape, it's showing the page with the longer edge, so it's 11 by 8.5. And we can go back to Layout and choose Portrait. And go back to 100%. So another pretty cool feature is, I don't know if you ever noticed when you're typing, let's say the month of the year, when you get to the 4th letter, it comes up and you just press Enter. Or let's say you type something, I'm going to type a lowercase and I'm going to spell the incorrectly. When I press spacebar, it automatically capitalizes it and spells it right. So I'm going to spell another word wrong, and when I press spacebar, so sometimes you think your spelling's not that great, and then you look at your document and everything's perfect. It's because it's corrected it for you. So let's say you were going to type STCC, Springfield Technical Community College, a lot in your particular document. Do you want to type that out every single time? What you'd want to do is when you type it, is when you press spacebar, it'll type the whole Springfield Technical Community College for you. So to do that, you're going to create your own autocorrection. So choose File, Options, and then choose Proofing and click Auto Correct Options. And then if you were to just scroll down, those are just abbreviations on the top. But if you spelled accommodate with 1 M, it's going to fix it to 2 M's. And if you spelled across with 2 C's, it's going to fix everything. So I'm going to make mine up. I'm going to type STCC. And then when I type just those 4 letters, it'll type it out for me. So it'll be all filled for me. And I'm going to click Add. And it puts in alphabetic order. The other one I'm going to do is my initials, RT. So whenever I type RT, it'll type out my name. I'm going to add that. And again, it does it alphabetically. And then click OK and OK. So here we go. I'm going to type STCC. And I typed it in uppercase, even though it was originally in lowercase. And when I press spacebar, done. If I did it in lowercase, it still does it. Doesn't matter. It does it all for you. Let's say you don't want it spelled out. You want the abbreviation. Control Z, which is undo, will take it away. So you can keep it in the abbreviation. Here's RT. And if I didn't capital, I'll still get it. But if I didn't want it, Control Z. So those are great additions that you can add to your, create your own little codes and have them run quickly and perfectly for you every time. You can always go back in there and delete them or add more. The other thing I wanted to introduce is up at the top you have your save, your floppy save, Control S also, undo and redo. You can move it to below the ribbon if you click show below the ribbon. So it's up to you, and then you can move it back up. And then in the next video, I'll explain how to add to your quick